I want you to picture a scene for a moment. You're standing on the asphalt at a massive logistics depot. It's early morning, maybe a little chilly, but you can feel the heat starting to radiate off the engines. You are looking at a fleet of brand new heavy-duty trucks. I'm talking about the absolute best machinery money can buy, Euro 5, Euro 6 specs, the works.
It's an impressive sight. It looks like efficiency incarnate. You see that capital investment, the sheer scale of it,
Yeah.
and you naturally assume, well, this operation is a license to print money.
Exactly. It looks bulletproof. But today, we are going to tear that image down a little bit. We are diving into a really fascinating set of insights from Greystride that suggests that all that beautiful, expensive hardware, it might be masking a massive financial leak. Because the argument here is that you can have the best trucks, the best software, the best contracts, but if the human being sitting behind that wheel is, well, disengaged, that fleet is effectively bleeding cash every single kilometer.
And that is the core twist of today's deep dive, isn't it? In this industry, we're so used to thinking of fleet efficiency as an engineering problem.
Right, better fuel injection, better aerodynamics.
Or a logistical puzzle, optimizing a route to shave off 5 minutes. But the material we are unpacking today argues that true efficiency is actually a psychological problem. It's about the specific economics of driver engagement.
I have to be honest with you. When I first saw the topic driver engagement pop up in our research stack, my alarm bells went off. I thought, okay, here we go. We're going to talk about office parties and making sure everyone feels warm and fuzzy inside their cab. It sounds a bit soft.
It does sound that way.
Especially for the transport industry.
Right. In logistics, soft usually translates to expensive and unnecessary. But Greystride is incredibly aggressive about debunking that specific myth right out of the gate. This isn't about happiness. It isn't about smiles. The mission here is to prove that engagement is a hard, cold, operational lever. It is a variable that directly dictates your profit margins.
And this is all framed within the South African transport environment, right? Which I think adds a whole other layer of pressure.
Crucially so, yeah. We aren't operating in a vacuum here. In the South African context, margins are razor thin. We're dealing with fuel prices that are incredibly volatile.
They can spike overnight.
Exactly. And the road infrastructure is, let's be polite and call it challenging in many places.
Yeah.
In that environment, you just don't have a buffer. If you get the human element wrong, you aren't just losing a bit of efficiency, you are threatening the viability of the whole business.
Okay, so let's get past the buzzwords. If engagement doesn't mean a happy driver who loves their boss, what does it actually mean? Because I think most fleet managers would say, look, I pay them to drive, not to be engaged.
And that's the traditional view, and it's a dangerous one. The source defines engagement in a very specific operational way. They draw a hard line between a driver who acts like an employee and a driver who thinks like an operator.
Operator? I like that distinction. It sounds more professional. What is the practical difference?
Well, think about the difference between how you drive a rental car versus how you drive a car you bought with your own savings that you plan to keep for 10 years.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
The rental car. Well, let's just say I'm not dodging every pothole with the same level of anxiety.
Right.
I might push the RPMs a little harder. It's not my problem once I hand the keys back.
Exactly. An employee driver is just steering the wheel for 8 hours to get a paycheck.
Yeah.
If the truck hits a pothole, not their problem. If the engine sounds a bit rough, not their problem, until it breaks down. An operator, on the other hand, views that vehicle as a business asset that they are the custodian of. They take ownership of fuel usage as if the diesel money was coming out of their own pocket. They report small mechanical issues before they become catastrophic failures.
So it's a shift from I am labored to I am a partner in asset protection.
Precisely. And here is the key insight that I think trips people up. A happy driver might still be a liability.
Really? How so?
You can have a driver who loves his job, loves the radio, but still rides the clutch or ignores a warning light because he's optimistic it'll just go away. An engaged driver, an operator, understands that efficiency is what keeps the company alive and by extension keeps their job secure.
That makes sense. It's not about mood, it's about mindset. But let's talk about the money. The source discusses the hidden costs of disengagement. Usually when we think of a bad driver, we think of the catastrophe, right?
The big one.
The jackknife on the highway, the overturned trailer, the stuff that makes the news.
And those are tragic and expensive, obviously. But the source calls disengagement a silent drain. It's operational leakage.
Leakage.
It's the money that disappears quietly, drip by drip, month after month. You might not even notice it until you look up the year-end financials and wonder why, despite high revenue, your net profit is flat.
So let's audit this leakage. Where's the money actually going?
It's a laundry list of profitability killers. The most obvious one is fuel consumption, but it goes deeper. Tire wear is a massive one.
I feel like people outside the industry forget how expensive big rig tires are. We aren't talking about a sedan here.
It's a major line item on the P&L, a major one. If a driver is braking aggressively, cornering too hard, or curbing the sidewalls because they just aren't paying attention, that rubber disappears.
And you're just burning through them.
You might get 50,000 fewer kilometers out of a set of tires. Multiply that by a fleet of 50 trucks. That's a fortune in lost value.
And then you have the mechanical side, the wear and tear that isn't supposed to happen yet.
Right. The employee driver ignores the temperature gauge creeping up. The operator spots it instantly. The difference is a replaced thermostat versus a blown head gasket or a cracked block.
Which is a huge difference in cost.
One costs a few $100,000 in an hour of downtime. The other costs tens of thousands and keeps the truck off the road for a week.
And this brings us back to that South African context. The source really emphasizes that this leakage is particularly dangerous here. Why?
Because the operating environment is just unforgiving. In Europe or the US, maybe the roads are smoother, the margin's a little more forgiving. Here, your trucks are dealing with extreme heat, massive hills, harsh road surfaces.
It's a tough environment for the machinery.
Very. So if you have a disengaged driver who adds, say, 10% more stress to the vehicle through poor driving habits, the failure rate just skyrockets. In a low-margin contract, that driver isn't just an annoyance, they are literally eating the net profit of that route.
It's like trying to fill a bucket with water while someone is poking tiny holes in the bottom.
That is the perfect analogy.
You can turn the tap on harder, get more contracts, but you're never going to fill the bucket if you don't plug the holes.
You cannot out-earn inefficiency in this market. And this brings us to the how. The source breaks this down into what they call the 4 pillars of efficiency. This is where the rubber meets the road, so to speak.
Okay, let's hit the first one. Fuel economy. We touched on it, but is it really that significant? I mean, a loaded truck is 50 tons. It's going to guzzle diesel no matter who's driving, isn't it?
You would be surprised. The variance between a good driver and a bad driver on the exact same truck on the same route can be upwards of 30%.
30%. That is massive. That's the entire profit margin right there, plus some.
Easily. It's about momentum management. An engaged driver anticipates the hill. They don't slam on the brakes at the bottom and then redline the engine to get back up. They manage the flow. They minimize idling. And the source makes a great point here. An engaged driver doesn't see fuel as the company's problem.
Right.
They understand the math. They know that fuel is the biggest variable cost, and managing it is part of their professional skill set.
That's a heavy psychological shift. I'm not just driving, I'm managing the company's cash flow with my right foot.
Exactly. Then we have the second pillar, maintenance and uptime.
Right.
This is where the operator mindset really shines.
We mentioned the difference between fixing a sensor and replacing an engine. But the source also talks about uptime as a product.
Yes. Think about long-haul routes moving FMCG mining loads. If a truck breaks down in the middle of the Karoo because a driver ignored a weird noise for 500 kilometers, the entire schedule is destroyed.
And in logistics, a missed slot isn't just a delay, it's a penalty.
It's a penalty, it's a furious client, it's a damaged reputation. If you are hauling perishable goods, it's a total write-off. An engaged driver protects uptime by being proactive. They are the early warning system.
Which connects directly to the third pillar, insurance and incidents.
This goes beyond just don't crash. Engaged drivers are defensive. They are situationally aware. In South Africa, this also touches on security. An engaged driver is checking their mirrors, noticing if a vehicle has been following them for too long. They are alert to hijacking risks.
While a disengaged driver is zoned out.
Zoned out, maybe checking their phone, completely oblivious until it's too late.
So engagement is actually a safety and security feature.
100%. It's a risk mitigation strategy. Fewer accidents mean a better risk profile, which means lower insurance premiums. That's long-term sustainability.
The fourth pillar caught me off guard a bit, but it makes total sense when you say it out loud. Staff turnover?
This is a huge hidden cost. Recruitment is expensive. Onboarding is expensive. But the real cost is the loss of institutional knowledge.
What do they mean by that in a trucking context? It's not like they're coding software. The road is the road, right?
Not necessarily. An experienced driver knows things that aren't on the GPS. They know which specific off-ramp is dangerous in the rain.
Oh, yeah.
They know the receiving manager at a certain warehouse is difficult and how to handle them to get unloaded quickly. They know how to secure a specific type of odd-shaped load so it doesn't shift.
And when a driver quits, all that knowledge walks out the door.
And you replace them with a rookie who has to learn all those hard lessons from scratch, probably at your expense through mistakes and delays.
Engagement keeps your best assets in the seat.
Exactly. It reduces that churn.
So if the math is this obvious, if engaged drivers save all this money, why isn't every fleet nailing this? Why is disengagement such a common problem?
This is where we get into what the source calls the management trap. It argues that many fleet owners unintentionally destroy engagement because they focus entirely on compliance and discipline.
The stick approach. Do it or else.
It's just rules, rules, rules. And crucially, the communication style is purely reactive.
Reactive meaning. They only talk when there's a problem.
Management by exception. Imagine you are a driver. You drive perfectly for 29 days, on time, safe. You hear nothing from the office. Silence.
Right.
On day 30, a taxi cuts you off. You have to brake hard. Immediately, your phone rings. Why was there a harsh braking event? Why are you abusing the truck?
Oof. Yeah. That feels incredibly unfair. You feel like you're being spied on, not supported.
Guilty until proven innocent. And if the only time your boss speaks to you is to reprimand you, you naturally withdraw. You stop caring. You do the bare minimum.
You become an employee, not an operator.
You certainly aren't going to go the extra mile to save fuel for a guy who only calls you to shout.
It sounds like a vicious cycle. Management yells because costs are up. Drivers disengage because they get yelled at. Costs go up more.
And management yells louder. That is the spiral many fleets are stuck in.
Okay, so let's break the spiral. The source, Greystride, doesn't just complain. They offer solutions. And what I liked is that these don't seem to require a $1 million consulting fee.
No, and that's the beauty of it. It's about leadership, not budget. The first strategy is simple but rare. Communicate the bigger picture.
Which means what, practically?
Many drivers simply do not know the economic reality of the business. They see a shiny R3 million truck, they see the company landing big contracts, and they assume the owner is swimming in cash.
So they think, who cares if I waste a little diesel? The company's rich.
Correct. The solution is transparency. Sit them down. Show them the operating ratio. Explain that for every R100 of revenue, R95 goes to fuel, truck payments, maintenance. Show them how their driving influences that remaining R5 of profit.
That's powerful. It turns abstract numbers into shared responsibility.
What's the second strategy? Public recognition. But you have to be careful here. It's not just employee of the month.
Right, the dusty plaque on the wall nobody looked at.
You have the data. You have the telematics. Use it to celebrate the specific behaviors you want. Create a leaderboard. Most improved fuel efficiency. Safest driver of the quarter.
Gamification, basically.
Humans are competitive. If there is a leaderboard for fuel efficiency, the operators will compete to be at the top of it. It costs nothing but builds immense pride. Suddenly, saving fuel is cool because it proves you're the best.
Strategy 3 is two-way feedback channels. This addresses that feeling unheard problem.
This is huge. Drivers are your eyes and ears on the ground. They see the inefficiencies first. They know which client sites have loading delays that kill their schedule.
So instead of the office telling the drivers how to drive, the drivers tell the office how to operate.
It's a consultation. When a driver says, hey, this route is inefficient, and management actually listens and changes the route, the driver feels validated. They go from complaining to consulting.
That seems so simple, yet I bet it's rare. It requires a lot of humility from the folks in the air-conditioned office.
It does. But that humility pays dividends. It builds trust.
Finally, strategy 4, incentives and leadership.
Right. You have to link performance to incentives. But the source emphasizes fairness. If the system is confusing or if the goals are impossible, it will backfire. It has to be clear. Save X fuel, get Y bonus.
But you also mentioned leadership.
You can have the best bonus structure in the world, but if the fleet controller is a tyrant, engagement dies. You have to invest in the people who manage the drivers. If they're inconsistent or disorganized, they will undo all your good work. The driver's direct supervisor is their reality.
So it really is a cultural shift. It's not just a policy you can email out on a Monday morning.
It's a paradigm shift. And that leads us to the conclusion of the source material. We need to stop viewing engagement as a secondary HR issue, something nice to have. It is a core operational lever.
That phrase stuck with me, core operational lever.
Yeah.
It puts driver psychology right up there with vehicle maintenance and logistics planning.
Because it is. The source has this ultimate insight that sums it up perfectly. Your drivers are not just operating trucks, they are operating your margins.
That's the quote of the episode right there.
It changes how you look at the whole industry, doesn't it? The fleets that win in the next 5 years won't necessarily be the ones with the newest trucks. Everyone can buy a truck. The winners will be the ones with the most ownership-minded drivers.
It really reframes the asset. You look at a truck passing you on the N3 and you think about the horsepower. But really, the most powerful engine in that vehicle is the motivation of the person in the driver's seat.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it's about resilience. A fleet with engaged drivers is resilient. They can handle a fuel price hike because they are efficient.
Right.
A fleet with disengaged drivers is fragile. One bad month of maintenance costs could wipe out their profit for the quarter.
So if I'm a fleet owner listening to this, I can't just buy my way out of efficiency problems with better tech. I have to lead my way out of them.
That is the lesson. You have to treat engagement as a strategic asset. If you do, your efficiency will reflect it. If you don't, you'll just keep pouring money into that bucket with the holes in the bottom.
Well, this has been a real eye-opener. We started with shiny trucks and ended up with human psychology.
It's always about the people, even in an industry as industrial as trucking.
So here is a final provocative thought for you to chew on based on everything we've discussed. I want you to mentally walk through your own fleet right now, or your own team. Look at the vehicle conditions. Look at the fuel reports. Look at the body language when you walk into the break room.
And ask yourself this. Do you see a team of employees who are just waiting for the clock to run out? Or do you see a team of operators who are actively protecting your business?
And if the answer is employees, how much is that costing you every single mile?
That is the question that determines the future of your fleet.
Thanks for diving deep with us today. Hopefully this helps you look at those big rigs a little differently.
Drive safe and keep learning.
Catch you on the next Deep Dive.
Bye.